I had 2 failed suicide attempts. Nobody cares. God doesn't care. Who cares? I write a song, I go and perform it, and out of 7 people, I got 6th place. But it gave me distinction on campus. I was the Christian guy who rapped.
Tedashii is the powerhouse hip-hop artist who turned personal tragedy and faith into anthems of resilience.
From shaping the sound of Reach Records with Lecrae to building a legacy in Christian rap.
Today, he challenges us with a message of hope and strength in a broken world.
I know God is real. I just don't know if I've ever really followed God, but I know you do. And I was like, well, how do you know that? And he said, anybody who can stand on that stage and do what you did and go through all of what you went through, gotta love God. So I prayed with him, shared the gospel with him. When I was younger, I used to be afraid to talk about death and all these things. And now I'm like, I can't wait to get there, man. Not only do I get to see Jesus, emotions are meant to be fluid. They are meant to emote, to flow through you. Anything in you physically, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually that does not move hardens and becomes unhealthy. Emotions are the same way. If they are not flowing and moving, they become unhealthy in you, and now they become bad for everybody around you to consume. Heaven is not just paradise of all your wildest dreams. It's where God is. Heaven gets to be heaven because God is there. If he's not there, it's not heaven. I don't want it.
So who is Tedashii?
Great question. Who is that? Man, Tedashii is first and foremost a follower of Jesus Christ. I gave my life to the Lord years ago as a freshman in college, and my identity shifted and everything changed and birthed out of that. And so whoever I am today, that is the foundational point of it all. I am honestly, in my mind, an enigma of sorts, because I have always been able to do, exist, and move within so many different spaces in the world that it oftentimes feels like all of those things are a part of me. I'm very much so a creative communicator. I'm very much so an empath and a connector with people. I'm very much so this person who is burdened to see people understand who they are and why they're here. So all those things together move me, get me out of bed in the morning, wake me up and going. But then there's just the person who is introverted and wrestles with whether or not my value is up to par, and I struggle with my own level of insecurities and doubts and still have to find ways to submit to the Lord, seek him, and, you know, like everybody else, rest. So, yeah, bro.
Great. Love it. Love it. I love your humility, man, and just the way you operate. You have a very calm presence.
Thank you, bro.
And so how does that, so this is you are my first Christian hip hop artist.
Yeah,
on
let's
the show.
go. Let's go.
I'm excited to have some fun conversation around this.
I love that.
And
nobody else got on here and rapped or did anything.
No. You got to bust out at some point.
What?
Yeah.
Hey, you should have got Jason to rap. I know he got bars.
Dude, big time. So this is fun. So I was listening to how I got kind of connected or familiar with you was through Lecrae.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yep. So Lecrae, I've been following him for a long time and just really enjoy not only his music, but well, is he the number one Christian or hip hop artist right now?
He would definitely be.
Okay.
That. Yeah.
And so I love the music, but then I love his heart. Right, you could see his heart come through and truly what he wants to do and what he's all about. And so I got familiar with you through him, and dude, I freaking admire anybody that steps into the music space, the media space, that loves Jesus, and that, because I believe the media, like people that can bring art to our culture, and that are Christians involved in art is like one of the most impactful things to a culture.
Man. Yeah.
So I really hold any kind of Christian musicians to a pretty high regard, because I know how impactful that they are on my kids. Right, my kids listen to you.
That's right. Yeah.
So I know how impactful it is. It's insane. And so what?
That's huge.
Yeah. So what's coming up for you regarding the Christian hip hop conversation?
So I just left this event in Nashville called Holy Smoke. And there's a group of artists out there. They call themselves Indie Tribe, and they're really good friends of mine. They are younger guys, and they are on fire for Jesus. All of them young married men. I think a couple of them have kids now, but like they're in this place and space in life where both the music and life are kind of getting to a place of growing and moving quickly. And I was there and engaging the audience and engaging the people. And I'm not on stage. I really went to go support. So I'm just there. And as I see what's happening, have conversations with people in the audience, and I'm kind of just vibing to what's happening musically, it was so amazing. I felt so proud to be a part of Christian hip hop. So when you say what's coming up, I really think first and foremost, that's what comes to mind is that event. Yes, but also just the joy and gratitude that I have to be a part of something called Christian hip hop. Man, I became a Christian in college, my freshman year at Baylor, and the guy who led me to Christ, his name is Keenan. Keenan, after maybe 3 months of following the Lord, said, "Hey, you're always in your dorm room freestyling, right? Making up songs. How about you write some of that down and we perform it in a talent show that one of the sororities are doing
at Baylor."
At Baylor.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I was like,
I don't know they had talent shows at.
Well, this was new. Yeah. It was new. Yeah. It was new, bro. And so I was like, no, I'm not doing that, bro. He was like, you don't want to write down raps for God? And I was like, no, bro, that's lame. I was like, you can't get a girlfriend rapping about Jesus? What are you talking about? So I turned him down. I keep saying no over and over and over. But, you know, him being, he's my spiritual father. That's what I call him. He led me to Christ. Him being that person, he has a lot of sway. So eventually I agree, and I write a song. I go and perform it. And out of 7 people, I got 6th place. It was not a good song. It was not good. The song was trash, bro. It was not good. But what made the moment significant, and this is what Keenan knew, and I didn't even realize he was doing this, it gave me distinction on campus. Now I wasn't the guy who played football or the guy who ran track. I wasn't the guy who was just one of, however many black guys on campus or whatever. I was the Christian guy on campus. And I was the Christian guy who rapped at a sorority event where everybody else is dancing or playing, some popular hip hop song, and they're, doing some move, or they are, singing a popular song. I get up and do an original song about God using hip hop, and no one was doing that. And so it instantly brought distinction. So I thought, man, I'm embarrassed. I'm frustrated. We got 6th place because, one, it really wasn't good. The guy who got 7th place got 7th because he didn't finish. He walked off embarrassed. That's how bad my song was, bro. So the fact that I'm doing, when I see people from Baylor, they're like, "You do music, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Wow." And I was like, "Hey, God can do anything. Trust me." So what happened was, maybe a month later, a guy I played football with came to me, and we weren't friends. We didn't really know each other like that, but he came to my apartment like Nicodemus at night, knocked on the door, and he was like, "Yo, can we talk?" And I was like, "Yeah, come on in. What's up?" And he sits down, and he's like, fidgety. He's moving his hands back and forth, and he's rocking. And I was like, "Are you okay, man?" And he was like, "I'm not good, man. I'm not good." And I was like, "What's going on?" He's like, "I'm about to get kicked out of school." And I'm thinking, what did he do on campus? And I go, "Well, what happened?" And he says, I know I'm going to go to jail for a drug charge back in Houston. They're coming for me. And in addition to that, my girlfriend is pregnant. I don't know what to do now. Now, I'm a freshman in college. I don't have a girlfriend. I've not done what he's done. So I go, "What do you want me to do? I don't understand." He said, "Man, I just want to talk to somebody real." And I go, "What do you mean real?" He said, "Well, I know my mom and them believe in God. I know God is real. I just don't know if I've ever really followed God, but I know you do." And I was like, "Well, how do you know that?" And he said, "Anybody who can stand on that stage and do what you did and go through all what you went through, gotta love God." And I was like, "Oh, well, I do love God." So I prayed with him, shared the gospel with him, talked to him about love. I talked to him about faith, and I talked to him about honoring his parents. That's all I knew to talk about, honestly. But I was like, God, if you send him to me, I was, again, maybe 6 months in the faith. I was like, God, whatever you want me to say, I can only say what I know. This is all I know. And so my man was crying. Like, eventually he did get arrested. He did go to jail. He went to prison. But my man was on my little couch crying because he was afraid. He felt alone. And he didn't know where else to go. And he thought, if in this moment, all I can do is go to God, I need to find the people who can get me to him. So I helped him understand, you have access already. Jesus did that for you. Let me just guide you, but you can talk to him now. So my man who had never prayed with me. So when you say what's up with Christian hip hop, that's what always comes back to my heart. Wow. It was able to bring distinction in my life. It was able to provide an opportunity for me to share Jesus with somebody who did not know him. And then in addition to that, it gave me this platform where I was able to do things, like be real in a way other people weren't. They just knew automatically, oh, you must really love God, because this rap thing that has a certain look to it, you're doing something different with it. It's not just the music, and this is something that me and Lecrae were just talking about recently. The quality of anything goes back to the character of the person, not just the quality of the music. I mean, we can see firsthand how at some point bad character catches up with you. Looking at the trial with Diddy, looking at certain things in the news, bad character catches up with you. Like, it's all that's in the dark will come to the light. You see the effects on other people. 1 Corinthians 15:33, be not deceived. Bad company corrupts good morals. Yep. I'm like, man, this is real. Like, those things will show up. They will affect you. So I've just found myself saying, man, God, you are capable of doing a phenomenal thing with this redheaded stepchild of the music industry that is Christian hip hop, and do something phenomenal that no one ever saw coming. Like, phenomenal. So when we started rapping, Lil Jon was big. We did music just based on what we knew culturally to be good and relevant and impactful. And right now, when everybody was getting hype in the club back then, right now, majority of the artists doing hip hop are either talking about God, playing and sampling gospel artists, or they're doing something.
You're talking about
secular artists.
Okay. Interesting.
They're like last year.
There's a major shift happening, man, in our entire country, right? Politically, culturally, there.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Wow.
It's crazy. Wow. There is one of the biggest artists. He won the Grammy last year for best hip hop album, Killer Mike out of Atlanta, and majority of his album, there are gospel choirs singing all through it. Majority of his album, he's talking like, I want to say he's in his 50s, but he's talking like a grown man who has to deal with the concerns of life. And most of his concerns, most of his resolutions include either what his mama told him about God or what he's learned about God, but it's a part of the dialogue. It's not necessarily that he's proselytizing, but he's sharing a testimony of sorts that goes back to, well, this is what mama said about God. And I'm just like, wow. Like, at one point when 50 was popular, it was, well, if I just shoot the right person, I'm going to be all right. Or if I can move this much weight, then I'm going to be all right. If I can get this much money, it'll be all right. And now it's like, yo, like, this he's got a song where he's rapping about reuniting with his high school crush and wanting to do all the same things, but realizing what she's been through in life, and that life has dealt her a raw deal. So more than that, he's going back to like, well, God, what do you want? And I'm just like, yo, what is this song I'm listening to? But again, that's a person who's mature, but also a person who, because of just where they are, they're gonna start talking about God, and it's in vogue, so to speak, to do it. And that doesn't mean that ultimately they're speaking about the God of the Bible per se. But at the same time, just like Paul said in Philippians, whether they preach the gospel in false pretense or not,
I was just gonna bring
the
that
gospel
up.
is still preached.
Yep.
So and it opens the door for me to come in and go, hey, so remember in this one song when he said this? I personally think this, and it gives me a way to segue into something that culturally is already being talked about on a mainstream level.
Yeah, the morality and culture is getting back to our foundation.
Yeah,
it's majorly shifting.
No,
so
seriously,
you can
bro.
see it through music is what I'm hearing. Through music, even secular artists, there's a moral shift.
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
very. It was just very chaotic and very. There's just a huge amount of. I would say sin and brokenness in music, and now I'm seeing it too. I'm seeing a major shift.
Amazing.
Happen. Yeah.
I personally think we live in a culture and society where partiality is the norm. And
What do you mean by partiality?
Partiality in the sense of I only want to deal with you and you alone. I only want to deal with you when you're this way. I only want to deal with you when I'm a certain way. The book of James talks
like
about
compartmentalization,
right,
in a way. Okay.
And the book of James talks about partiality and condemns it. And what I've started to see is culturally, not only are we partial to individuals for who we want to be around, but we're partial to them in behaving certain ways. And if they behave differently, then we no longer want to be around them. And it's kind of created this idea of a la carte relationships where I only want to pick and choose aspects of you that I want in my life, and everything else you kind of keep for someone else. Or if you're unwilling to just give me that aspect of you, I don't want to be around you.
It's interesting.
And we've
caused a lot of shallow relationships.
A lot of shallow relationships.
Yep.
And I, again, being someone who's
good.
hyper relational, I'm looking for the depth.
Yeah.
And when someone wants to compartmentalize me, or they want to pick and choose, or dismiss altogether because I'm bringing my whole self, then I start to realize, oh, that is where people start to augment themselves and only show a piece of themselves in order to be accepted, liked, received. And I have started to push against that in a sense with going, I want to see people embrace their entire self for who they are, the good, the bad, the ugly, and bring it all before the Lord.
Yep. That's
and
deep.
Live open.
Yeah, that's very rare. Because at church,
open.
in Christianity, we have traditional Christianity has a challenge with that, right? We bring our facades to church.
Yes, bro.
And so there's that's pretty broken. I rarely ever hear it articulated like that.
Thank you, bro.
And that's clear, right? So I experience that.
Yeah.
I experience myself doing that.
Yeah.
I experience other people. If I'm not getting something that I want out of one person, then I'll move to the next. So there's like almost a lack of loyalty in friendships and relationships.
Very much so.
If I'm not getting what I want, I'll move to somebody else versus like learning to be in relationship with the whole being of that person. Very rarely though do people actually get to know the whole being, like what you're saying. And we experienced at our events. We had an event last week, 68 guys. The Forge is our 5-day advanced events. Like once you go to our first 3-day, there's this 5-day, not physical, but it's really emotional, spiritual, like mental, like really deep stuff. And so guys got a chance to like be seen, be fully seen.
Yes.
And the challenge, and like they've shared stuff they've never shared with anybody. The challenge is their wife doesn't know them. And what happens if you don't share all of yourself and you get people to fall in love with this version, you never feel known.
That's right, bro.
You can't feel known because you're like, well, if you just knew all of me, if you knew those thoughts that I had, those real dark thoughts, if you knew this dark past. So you will never feel known and you will never actually feel fully loved.
Right.
Because you're like, they don't actually, you're not loving you're not loving me. You love the version I present to you.
Yeah.
So logically, subconsciously, their brain and their soul knows. And so people rarely ever feel like the depth of love and the depth of knowing.
Yeah.
And it starts with taking some courage and like stepping out.
I completely agree. So what you make me think of is in most of my experience. So got saved in college, left 3 years later, started going to a church where I walked with a pastor. I got ordained in the Missionary Baptist Church, worked in that world for 6-7 years, and then left there, and then eventually moved up to Dallas. got on staff at Denton Bible doing college ministry, and then eventually graduated college, went into music and was still part-time working at churches, helped plant 5 different churches in my life so far. I've done missions trips. And the one thing that I've seen through my experiences, whether it's an academic approach, emotional approach, a spiritual minded approach, at some point, because people have culturally from the world, from their family, their childhood, from their job, from their sports team, from whatever, because they've culturally been trained and taught, I only want this part of you here right now. We all subconsciously present only a part of us. I think it's naturally trained in us. When you're on the football field, coach doesn't care about your homework. When you're at home, mom doesn't care about your football team. When you're at work, they're not worried about what you're doing in school. You got to bring the part they want from you. And each part you bring that they ask for gets rewarded, gets celebrated. But those other parts that never get asked about, that never get celebrated, you don't ever get to bring those out. And there is nowhere to bring them out unless you have genuine outlets of connection with genuine people who love you, who want to see the whole you. And what I've seen people do, instead of being able to bring the complete full self, is just bring what they assume other people want. And because we grow up that way, we come with a mentality of, I can't bring the rest of me because they don't want it. And the ego tells us, because the ego is trying to protect us, protect yourself and don't bring that part, because if you do and they reject that, they may reject this other part that you already get. So I don't want to risk what I'm getting from you and jeopardize that by bringing the rest. So I'll just keep getting what I get from you and leave it at that. And so there are no places to go and be genuine and open and real. And so we live our lives in isolation, and we call it solitude. We live our lives in this secrecy, and we call it strength, and we lie to ourselves and tell ourselves that we're okay. So when we do finally feel real love, when we do finally feel an idea of love, we are training ourselves to only get and accept a shallow version of it. But what I started to see for myself was I was modeling for my boys that bringing part of yourself was good enough, because I could only be a certain way. Here's when it stood out to me the most. I left, we live in Atlanta now. I came back home. We were down in Houston. And when we finished hanging out with my family, my oldest son said, "Why were you talking like that?" I was like, "Talking like what?" He was like, "The way you talked, your voice was different." I was like, "Well, how was my voice?" "Well, it was like this and you was doing this." And I was like, No, I wasn't. And he was like, "No, you were." And then my wife was like, "You were doing it." And I was like, "Was I?" And they were like, "You got a different voice when you're down here." And I realized I was wearing a caricature of myself for these people. None of them asked for that. That's just what I think they think of me. That's what I think. When I get around my Samoan family, my son's like, "Why do you speak that way?" Like, I changed my voice again. And I started realizing there are faces I put on when I'm with certain people, not to be fake, but in my mind, it is what I'm supposed to be respectful, or it's what I'm supposed to be accepted, or it's rude to try to be different because I don't want them to feel weird. But I'm subconsciously now, I've done it so much consciously that subconsciously I'm putting on something different and not bringing my full self, or not bringing my authentic self. And it took my kids to call it out, to be like, "Why are you doing that?" And I was like, "You know what? I don't know why I'm doing that." So I intentionally now, when I'm with my Samoan family, I sound like I'm with my Houston family, and I'm with my Houston family, I sound like I'm with the other family. And I did it just to see what people would say, and they didn't say anything. They were just glad I was there. And I was like, my entire life I've been putting on these things and not being genuine, because I assumed in my own thoughts unto myself that's what they wanted. And my kids were like, "No, that's weird. Why do you keep doing that?" And now I just get to bring my whole self. So I don't want part love or part-time love. I want true, genuine love.
Those that are unwilling to risk themselves stunt themselves.
Yes, bro. Yeah.
So they stunt themselves when they aren't willing to risk that side. And that's in a relationship. Like those people that are unwilling to risk their relationship, maybe with some hard advice or some shares or some vulnerability, they stunt that relationship. They kind of block it. And so it's really, we're in survival. A lot of human beings are in survival mode.
Very much
We're
so.
in survival mode. We're in protection mode, and so
Yeah.
we have these ways of operating and coping that we've learned to operate with.
Yeah.
And instead of going all out and giving all of ourselves,
Yeah.
we give just enough to where they don't know the full amount, because if again, there's that fear of being being rejected.
Yeah,
So
very much
survival.
so.
We want to be comfortable, and so
Yeah.
we avoid the pain, and therefore we stop growth. And so
That's right.
what I'm hearing with you as you're sharing is you're stepping into some discomfort, man.
Very much so. Yeah.
You're trying out some new stuff.
And that's why
you're risking yourself.
Very much so. I learned in life, there's no relationship without risk.
Yeah.
The relationship will only go so far without risk.
Yeah. Yeah.
At some point, risk will come into the picture, and you have to be willing to engage it, or the relationship stays where it is and doesn't go any further.
Yeah.
But that's even with yourself. At some point, you got to risk the thing you're afraid of, the thing you're worried about, the thing you're ashamed about, and watch what happens on the other side of it. And so that's one reason I am excited to hear about what you're doing. Like, I have learned in my experience, whether it's ministry, music, or just life in general, most people that I've ever talked to and engaged, and this is where I give grace to some men specifically, people sure in general, but men specifically, because you grow up being asked to present only a part of you in certain areas for so long that when you need to present the other part of you, it's not just that you don't know where you can present it safely and boldly, but a lot of people lack the language to even communicate it. Like it wasn't until after I lost my son that I was able to sit with someone.
You open to talking about that a little bit.
Oh,
more.
very much so, very much so. But it wasn't until then that I was able to get the language to say, I'm upset, I'm angry. Like I knew how to show that I was angry. I knew how to express that I was sad, but I didn't know how to say in a rationalized way, hey guys, I'm really sad. I'm just sad. And be vulnerable enough and open enough to be emotional with someone else. I didn't know how to do that. I wasn't given the language, the skills, none of that. So most of the time when I'm engaging people, men specifically, it is a part of it is to say, here is some of the language you can use to help better explain the actions you want to express. I'm okay with anger. Be angry all day. Even the scriptures say, be angry, just don't sin in your anger. So be mad, punch the wall, do what you got to do, but come back and let's address it in healthy ways now so that the people around you can still feel the love that you genuinely have for them. Because anger is just, in my opinion, an expression of passion.
It's important to express anger. Yeah,
Very much so.
We had, last week at our event, we help guys break free because they get them. If you don't express an emotion, you get emotionally stuck.
Yeah.
And so those emotions actually get stuck in you.
Yes.
And so then what happens is like there's some guys that couldn't express anger. And so we create space and actually do some exercises to release anger, and then they have the ability to tap into that and then release it in a healthy way.
Yes, bro.
But shoving it down, not the most effective way. So like when I get angry, I allow myself to feel the anger. I want to feel it, allow it to come through.
Yeah.
If I got to hit the pillow, hit the bed, punch something, go run, go do something, but I allow myself to physiologically release the anger. Then I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
So this is the way I explain it. I try to help people in general, men, think about it this way. I call it the art of movement. Most of us as men, we get taught about movement just from a physical aspect, but emotional movement has to happen. And I think about it this way. Water that moves is healthy. Moving water is healthy. It's good to drink. Moving water is so healthy and so good, they bottle it and claim it to be spring water, and they say that you should pay $7 for it. Like, moving water is healthy. Yeah. Stagnant water that stands still, is never healthy. If you get a bucket, fill it with water, and let it sit for a week, what happens? Bacteria forms, bugs come, scum shows up on the water, things begin to fester, it sits so long, none of it is healthy to drink. It is an unhealthy thing for your life. Emotions are meant to be fluid. They are meant to emote, to flow through you. And anything in you physically, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually that does not move hardens and becomes unhealthy. Emotions are the same way. If they are not flowing and moving, they become unhealthy in you. And now they become bad for everybody around you to consume. But if I can help them to flow, now it becomes a healthy thing. So one of the things that I learned for men specifically, my own self included, in moments of hardship, grief specifically for myself, find ways to be constructive, not destructive. I had to learn to be constructive. So I started walking. Now walking, I can move emotions through me. I can get stress out of my body. My nervous system can regulate itself. So I went for walks. Most of us don't want to do that. Most of us, and myself included, I would feel prideful that I even had to do something. Why do I have to do anything? Why can't the world shift around me? They know what I'm going through. No, you still got to go do the work to be healthy for yourself so that the people in your life can feel the healthy you and engage the healthy you. So that movement is everything, bro. So I call it the art of movement. I'm like, I got to go move. So even now, as I'm on my health journey and doing 10Ks and I'm training to do a 5K here.
And you just recently lost 85 pounds.
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
amazing.
I lost 85 pounds.
21-day water fast. You're killing it on so many levels, man. More than, yeah.
So that comes from, that motivation happened because I wanted to be mentally and emotionally healthy, not just physical health. Like I knew it couldn't just be physical.
Why do you want to be, why does that matter so much?
One, because I know my family gets the worst of me when I'm not at my most emotional and mentally healthiest. But then secondly, longevity. So I've learned how, as you get older, like, you know, you're young, you don't care about certain things. You get older and you go, wait, heart disease is real. Wait, heart disease is hereditary. Why did he die of a heart attack? Why did this person have this? Oh, they drank too much, so I don't drink liquor anymore. Oh, they lived with stress their whole life and they never worked out. Got it. So I'm going to do all the things I need to do so I don't prematurely leave my family and I can be here for my kids. So I can also have a better quality of life. I think some men get taught so much that their productivity is their power,
is their value,
and their value, that they never think about what life could really be quality wise for themselves.
Yeah.
And honestly, because of some misunderstanding scripturally around humility and loving others, we are not taught to sacrifice. We're taught to self-sabotage and self-abase ourselves. And I'm like, no, you can care for yourself, because in doing so, you are caring for others. If you are the leader and the conduit of leadership, caring for yourself is how you're going to also help everybody else. Please care for yourself. So the way I started doing that was, I got to go for walks. I just got to get outside. Man, I met this, I have no problem talking about my son that I lost, but in that season, I met this nutritionist. She worked for the Falcons and worked for the Hawks, the sports teams in Atlanta. And I was on the phone with her, and she really said, she said, "Are you really ready to do this?" "Yes, ma'am, I want to do it." She said, "Well, here's what I want you to start doing. Go for a walk." And I was like, "I don't like walking." And she was like, "I know you don't." She's like, "Not a lot of people do. There's not a lot of big reward from it. There's not a big payoff when you're done." She said, "But just go for walks." She said, "If I had one thing that could happen, if I was on my deathbed and someone said, 'Hey, the entire world is listening, what do you want to say?' She said, 'I tell everybody, go for a walk.'" I was like, "Really? With your dying words, you would say go for a walk?" She said, "Yeah, because it's the only thing you can do that helps you mentally, spiritually, physically, and emotionally. It's the only thing you can do aside from prayer." And I was like, "Really?" She was like, "So go for prayer walks. Go outside and walk. It calms your nervous, it helps your nervous system. It helps your physical body. It moves lactic acid. It helps your brain. It rewires your brain in certain ways." She was like, "Walking does wonders for your cardiovascular. Walking is the best thing you can do." And I was like, okay. And so I bought into that. So I just go for walks. Anytime I'm stressed, anytime I'm sad, anytime I'm afraid, I go for walks. And while I'm walking, I call my partner, my accountability partners, and I go, "I am afraid right now." "Well, what are you afraid of?" "I can bring my real self to you. I'm scared that they're going to see me as less than." "Who is they?" "Well, I don't know. The they I made up in my mind." "Good. Let's keep talking about that." But the walking, I just started moving. So the art of movement, bro. Keep moving. So yeah.
What? Let's go back if you're open to your son.
Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah.
So tell me, what are you open to sharing about that? And then what has shifted from that?
Man, thank you for asking. So let me say this. I won't speak for every parent who's ever lost a child, but for myself and a lot of other parents I've spoken to, I get excited to talk about my kid, man. I do respect the fact that it is a thing that is not common to talk about, loss in general, especially losing a child. So I respect that. And at the same time, I want to bring a level of comfort to people. Anytime I get to talk about Chase, I talk about Chase. And so my son, his name is Chase. I'm the proud father of 4 boys. I have Jaden, who's the oldest, Chase, who's second oldest, who is safe with Jesus in heaven. I have Callan and I have Kai. And Chase was 1 year old when he passed away, and the doctor and the autopsy said natural causes, which wasn't a lot of comfort in some ways because we wanted more answers. But in reality, after talking to the physician, he said in Texas legally he couldn't say SIDS because he's over 1. He's like, but if I could, I would say SIDS. He's like, what is SIDS? We don't know. He was like, but it's just at some point the body stops working. And he said, and it was cool. I do respect the fact that there are people who want to respect the policies of the place they work. But in that moment, he was like, and if I'm honest, man, if I know my Bible, God numbers our days. And it's crappy that he had less days than everybody else. And we started crying right then, bro.
Wow.
And so, I definitely know that God numbers our days, and that Chase's days, and in my perspective, unfairly were less than a lot of other people's days, man. And so there's not a day that goes by that I'm not thinking of Chase, that I don't miss Chase, that I don't wish that Chase was here. And yet a dear friend of mine communicated it this way. We're all waiting in line to get on the big ride, like at the amusement park. And he got to skip the line. And if I can hold on to that perspective some days, it makes it a little bit easier because I know where he is, I want to get to. I want to get there, man. So when I was younger, I used to be afraid to talk about death and all these things. And now I'm like, I can't wait to get there, man. Not only do I get to see Jesus, like even when I get to teach the word, I try to tell people heaven is not just like paradise of all your wildest dreams. Like it's where God is. Heaven gets to be heaven because God is there. If he's not there, it's not heaven. I don't want it. But Chase is there too, man. I get to see him too. So, natural causes. And so I went on this journey. Initially, when I heard about Chase passing, I was on a plane. I went to do a concert in the Northeast. I was gone for 3 days. And when I left, he was feeling sick, but he got better. And then when I came home, he wasn't here. And so as a parent, you feel all these emotions. As a father, the idea of protecting was real for me. Not being present was really hard for me. I still don't board a plane the same way anymore. I still don't land in my home city anymore. Every time I fly back into Dallas and land at DFW, there's something. And I just have to stop and breathe and cry out to God in that moment. But I get home, I land on the plane, I have all these missed calls. And now being on a plane, it's not always that I'll do it, but in this particular moment, I got upgraded and I was like, God, you put me in this first class seat for a reason. I'm gonna share the gospel with this lady next to me. So I went to share the gospel with her, and it was like 8 a.m. She was already sauced, like gone. And I was just like, okay, well, I can't talk to her. So I just kept telling her, it's about faith, it's about faith, it's about faith. And so I land, I go to sleep, we land, I get my phone, I have all these missed calls and voicemails, and I call my wife, and she says on the other end, he didn't make it. And I was like, who didn't make it? What are you talking about? And she was like, Chase, he didn't make it. And I know what the words are saying, but they still don't make sense to me, man. I'm like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? And she says, well, I woke up, he wasn't moving, called the ambulance, got him to the hospital, and he passed away. And you don't know what you're going to feel in those moments. You don't know what you're going to think in those moments. You can speculate. Most people just say, I can't imagine, but you can speculate. But at some point you realize it doesn't feel real. This can't be true. And whatever is genuinely in you is what's going to come out. And I was so angry and I was so sad. And I just remember punching the wall. And if anybody's ever flown before, when you land, especially early morning flights, but any flight, when you land, everybody's really quiet. Like for some reason, people are kind of chill. And in the silence of that plane, I just yelled, screamed, and I punched the wall. And I always wondered why God had me share the gospel with that woman. And in that moment, it clicked. Because in the moment, I was like, man, she's drunk. She's not listening. And in that moment, when I was screaming and wailing, she put her hand on my back and she rubbed my back and she said, I don't know what's going on, but just have faith. Remember, just have faith. And I was just like, oh my Lord. And she hugged me and I got up. No one moved. It definitely freaked people out how I was acting. No one moved. The door opens. I get off the plane and it was like just a floating moment to the car. And I get to the house. I see my wife. We embrace. We fall on the ground and we just kind of cry. And when I look up after a few minutes, my pastor's there, my spiritual father's there, and one of my other friends are there, and her mom is there. And we just leave and we go in the room. And we were in the room for 3 days. Like we didn't come out. I didn't eat. I didn't talk to people. We just cried, prayed, looked at pictures, cried, prayed, looked at pictures. And then the weeks to come, on one hand, it was just this knee-jerk response to just go get him. That always happened, and I'd have to stop myself. And I think the sadness really consumed me when I woke up and didn't instantly get up to go get him. And I was like, oh, that's crappy. I don't like that. In the scriptures, Lazarus dies. Jesus shows up. Mary and Martha are there. Mary is weeping before Jesus. You know, they're saying Martha is off doing the work and laboring. And I think that text is very true to who we are holistically. I think we play the role of Mary and Martha. At one point we go, where were you, God? If you were here, this wouldn't have happened. And on the other hand, we go, man, I tried to work my butt off so you could see that I was really real about this. I'm a servant. I really do want to serve. And I found myself kind of being in both of those places. The late, great Tim Keller wrote a book on suffering. He was a friend. He said it to me. And he said, read this chapter. And I read it. And in the book, he talks about people when they go through grief and suffering, they either become the moralist or they become the cynic. And I honestly think he based those two things off of these two people, Mary and Martha. Either you become the moralist and you go, you know what, if I'd have prayed more, if I'd have wrote more, if I'd have journaled more, if I'd have went to church more, excuse me, if I'd have looked at porn less, if I'd have done more Bible studies, if I wouldn't have been so mean to my wife or my kids, like if I'd have done enough good behavior, God would have blessed me and he wouldn't have done this. Or we become the cynic and we go, you know what, you just don't care about us, God. You don't care about people. You don't care about who we are. You don't care about what we go through. You were out to lunch. That's what it was. You don't care. And in both of those scenarios, they are both flawed, failed attempts at a human trying to control a holy God, an all-powerful God. And those were my attempts. My anger and my pity were my attempts to try to persuade God to fix it. But you don't fix that. Like, unless you just finna raise him from the dead, he not coming back. And that is really hard. I can get back the $5, the $20, the $100 bill I lose. I can get back hours at work and make up overtime. I can even get back the opportunity of a concert that I missed out on the following year if I just had to. But you don't get back those people. They don't come back. The permanence of that crushed me. It broke me. And in my pride, in my ego, I wanted a king's ransom. I gave my life to the Lord when I was a freshman in college. When everybody else was joining Russian frats, pledging, partying, wilding out, trying to sleep with as many women as possible, doing drugs, doing all. I gave my life to Jesus and was living for him. Went on missions trips, decided to do music. I didn't go do hip hop. I did Christian hip hop. Like, God, I'd done all this stuff for you, and this is what happens to me. And so instantly my ego showed up, and I was like, God, I can't do this no more. I don't want to do this no more. And it's not that I didn't think God was real, or it's not that I questioned if he was real. I just didn't think he wanted me for real. So I was like, all right, well, I'm done. I'm out. I'm gonna do what I want to do now. I don't know why it is, but whenever we are hurting, we turn to what hurts us more. I don't know why we do that as people, but when we are hurting, we tend to turn to what hurts us more. Either physically turning to harmful behavior or mentally turning to harmful thoughts, where we sit and ideate or ruminate. I'm a person who ruminates and ideates. I live in my head. I ruminate over and over and over. If this would have happened, it would have been different. If I could have been there, it would have been different. If this would have been done differently, then maybe this would have happened. If we'd have done this, this would have happened. If this, if when, if this, if this. And I ruminated myself into a depression, ideated myself into an anger and rage-filled life where for the next few years, all I would do was drink and do drugs. Like I was like, none of this other stuff stopped it from happening. So this will at least make me feel better. Now, I also know different neurologists. There's a guy by the name of Dr. Bruce Perry, and he wrote a book called What Happened to You. And in the book, he talks about the idea of what happens in the brain when you suffer trauma. There's another book called The Body Keeps the Score. I've read that book. It speaks about the same thing. When you go through immense trauma, your brain reverts to what's called the reptilian part of your brain, or the caveman part of your brain. The amygdala. And you can only operate out of that when you're faced with intense trauma until you can get regulated. So it's more difficult to access the frontal lobe. When you go through immense sort of trauma like that, you not only operate out of the amygdala, but because of the type of way that you engage the trauma, the thoughts in the amygdala mask themselves as frontal lobe thoughts. But what you're doing is because they feel so real and authentic to you, you feel like they are genuine thoughts that you are forming. But Dr. Perry says science shows when you're operating out of the amygdala, out of the reptilian part of your brain, you are doing the base level behavior that you saw growing up or that was handed to you in your formative years. What I saw growing up, what was handed to me in my formative years, and the reason why it felt so familiar and real was because I saw it growing up that way, was when things got hard, you drank a lot, you ate a lot, and you didn't deal with anybody. And so that's what I did. I isolated myself to a place of unhealth. I ate myself to a place of unhealth. I gained, after 3 months of trying to fight and then giving in, 6 months later, I'd put on 85 pounds, somewhere in there. After, when it was all said and done, I would have gained in total probably 120 pounds because all I did was eat, and then I would drink. And when you drink, yes, you're drinking carbs for the most part because a lot of things I was drinking was sugar. But in addition to that, I'm living this sedentary lifestyle, and I'm just sitting there consuming calories and carbs and sugar and not living a certain way. So no movement, eating foods that are bad for my brain chemistry, and living with this ruminating lifestyle. Pretty soon I got to a place of suicidal ideation. Pretty soon I had 2 failed suicide attempts, but I wanted to end my life. I was like, I don't want to be here anymore, man. I don't care. Nobody cares. God doesn't care. Who cares? But in one of those moments, I had my pistol, and I was sitting at my table, and I was ready to end it all. And my son, my oldest, who never comes out of his room, like never got up, came downstairs at that exact moment and said, "Daddy, I'm thirsty. Daddy, I'm thirsty. He didn't call for mama. He didn't even know anybody was down there. The lights were off. He just came out of his room, coming downstairs saying, Daddy, I'm thirsty. And I just started bawling. And so I, unchamber the round, take the mag out, put everything in different parts of the kitchen. And I'm sitting there and I'm like wiping my eyes. I'm like, what'd you say, son? He's like, Daddy, I'm thirsty. And I was like, how did he know I was in here? Like, I'm never in here. And so he comes down and he sits on my lap and he wouldn't go back upstairs, and he just stayed. He fought me to go back upstairs. And so when I finally got him upstairs, he said, just stay with me. And I laid in the bed with him and we fell asleep together. And I'm just like, bro, that never happened. And so I knew in that moment, I was like, I can never let him find me like that, because I might be getting rid of my pain, but I'm just giving it to him. I'm just passing it on. And so I was like, you know what? I got to do something different. I can't do this. So I just leaned further into drinking, drugs, food. And then years went by, and some really close friends sat me down and basically did an intervention. And it was like, you got two choices, bro. You got rehab, you got counseling. Where are you going? You can't leave here without one of them. And I was, after hours of arguing, I was like, well, I'll go to counseling. I'll do that. And they were like, cool, it's already paid for. You're going. Tell us what day works. We'll set it up. And so they set it up. And that was the only one they set up. They were like, the rest of them's on you. If you really want to do this, we love you, but we're not going to sit quietly and watch you kill yourself. And so they showed up and they scheduled it. And I went to go meet with her. And between them, family, and my therapist, Jesus used them to save my life, bro. And I tell my therapist all the time, like, I've been meeting with her now almost 7 years. I was like, you saved my life. Like, you saved my life. And she's this older, sweet white lady. And what's so dope about her, real recognize real. She said, Tedashii, can I be honest? And I go, yeah, her name's Jennifer. I was like, yeah, Jennifer, what's up? She said, I know I'm white. I was like, what? She's like, I know I'm white. I know I'm white. I know I'm a woman. I know it'd probably be a lot easier for you to talk to a black man, somebody black maybe, I don't know. She was like, but I'm a hell of a listener, Tedashii, and I love you. Sorry. When we talked earlier about being seen fully, she saw me, bro. She saw me. My first 3 sessions, all I did was argue and fight and not want to talk to her. And after 3 weeks of meeting with her, I was doing just like this on the couch with her, just bawling and just being like, I don't know where to go in life. I don't know what to do. And what I learned about myself and what I learned about a lot of fathers, when you don't have places to go that are safe, your kids become that. And you end up putting things on them that they weren't meant to carry. And I was doing that to my kids. I wanted them to be my everything. And not in a way that I was maliciously doing it. I just wanted them to know that Daddy loved them like nobody else. But in doing that, I also wanted the love back, instead of looking for that love from not just my children. They can't offer it, but from other men, from my wife, from my community, from Jesus, from the Lord. So I literally started to lean into that. I was like, Lord, every day it's me and you. I want the love you got. I want it. My wife, I was like, how do I lean into this more with you? My community, I was like, every day I'm with y'all, we leaning into this. How can I do this? So that's what I started doing, and fighting to see it for real. Now I like, so again, Lecrae, I got my other homeboy Keenan, who led me to Christ, BJ, two dudes named Chris in my life. Adam, every time I'm with them, they're like, it's okay for you to be your real self. And they're like, we got to tell you this the most, but that's fine. We'll say it every day. It's okay for you to be your real self. So my real self, I'm going to pray with them. I'm probably going to talk about a book I'm reading right now. And I'm probably going to talk about Hamilton because I love musicals. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, surprise. I'm still a man. They're like, we're not questioning that. I was like, all right, just letting y'all know. I played football and I played in the band. It is okay, guys. I played football in Texas too, not some other raggedy football state. I played in Texas. And I played in the band, and they just started laughing. But they're like, good, be your full self. We want your full self. And so, man, I have, over the years, just by God's grace, been able to be in groups of people where I can be my real self. And so it makes it, that's the reason I can come here with confidence, cry in front of you, having just met you, but just kind of know, like, I'm still valued by the Lord. The Imago Dei is still true. And yet there's a realness to what I'm feeling. What would be disingenuous is to sit here, talk about it, and bottle up everything and try to be tough in a way that's unhealthy, and then present a false picture to people. Like when I don't go back home, I'm not crying about it. So yeah, bro. Thank you for asking.
Man, powerful story. Thank you for sharing. And that's going to be very impactful for a lot of people.
I hope so, man.
On this, 100%.
I hope so, man.
And what's powerful is not only do you get to be your authentic self, but you're ushering other people in through the way you live your life to be their authentic and their true selves and allow themselves to be real.
Yeah, bro.
Right? So that's what's powerful about it. It's not just for you.
Yeah.
But it's what it's creating in other people.
I hope so, man. I hope so. So one of the things that I do now, so yes, I do music full time. That is what I do. But in addition to that, I started doing public speaking more. I started preaching when I was young, but I started doing more public speaking now to talk to men specifically, but then to talk to men in particular about certain things, but also to talk to young adults and then families that go through grief and hardship. Like that is a burden, bro. And so right now I'm working with a sister here in Dallas, and she's helping to set up the nonprofit in honor of Chase that I have called Chase Life. I was calling it Chase Foundation and learned a little nugget. In America, when you're starting a 501c3, if you call it a foundation, the IRS is going to think you're giving money away. And I was like, no, it's not a foundation in that regard. I just like the name. And they were like, change the name. I was like, cool. Yep. So the Chase Foundation, formerly known as that, is now Chase Life. But we're setting that up and getting it organized so that I can do the work to love on parents who have lost children and love on what I call the siblings of suffering, children who have lost their brother or sister and need an outlet in some way. To not only give a reprieve to the parents, but also I know physical movement is everything when it comes to healing, in addition to other things. So I'm partnering with nonprofits to help provide outlets for kids to go be active and give a chance for them to be away so that parents can go for an hour a day at least, you're going to be here, or for once a week for a few hours, you're going to be here doing flag football, doing gymnastics, going outside and doing relays. You're going to be doing something active because that's going to help you not only foster other community for yourself as a child, but move and get everything out that's in you, and the parents get a break for a moment as well. Because statistically, children who remain in the home after a child is lost typically face neglect more so than ever before, and unintentional, but still neglect. And I'm like, no, I want to love on them too, as best I can. So Chase Life is my hope to my desire to be a present help for future hope for those families. So
where, as we close it out, well, in a moment, I'll ask where you can, where they can find you. And brother, my prayer is that you keep your platform keeps growing.
Amen. Thank you, man.
That's my I'm gonna say a quick prayer over that.
Yeah.
Father, I pray over Tedashii, Lord God. I pray that you continue to bless, Lord, his influence and the platform that he's on. Continue to heal his heart and allow him to show his heart to more people, Lord God. I pray that through his speaking, through his music, Lord, that millions are impacted and healed and feel seen, and feel connected, Lord God, and feel valued by you, Lord. And I pray that you just continue to give Tedashii the strength, the courage, the tenacity, the trust, Lord, to continue moving forward and Lord, just continuing to make an impact in Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
Man.
Wow, thank you for that. Thank you for
no.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got to God's got some big stuff planned for you for sure.
Bro. Amen. Thank you, man.
So where can people follow you or?
Yeah, so at Tedashii on everything social media. Tedashii is actually my real name. That's my birth name. I think a lot of people think it's a stage name just because I do music.
Yeah.
But my real name is weird enough that I just used it. I was like, all right, it's a Japanese name. It's a Japanese word.
Okay.
And it means faithful, right, or true, or loyal, depending on the dialect. And so I just decided to use it. Yeah. So it's Tedashii, 8 letters. If you just type in Ted A, this is how I tell people. Tedashii is my name. My last name is Anderson. So Ted A is like kind of a nickname. But if you just type Ted A in, my whole name will show up on social media because there's no other Tedashii like me. It's so funny, bro. And then they can also go, my website is speakingwithpurpose.com. So I know God made me to be a creative communicator, and I know He's burdened me to help people see themselves for who He wants them to see them, and to see themselves for who He sees them, and then engage the world around them. And so I'm burdened for that, bro. I love doing that. So Speaking with Purpose is the website. And then from there, social media, I'm on YouTube. YouTube is starting to be more fun. There's always these kind of different ways you got to engage every different type of platform. And for me, Instagram was just low hanging fruit because it's just easy to do something. But YouTube's become more fun recently. So I'm kind of on there a lot more now. So yeah. And then in addition to that, bro, music is still happening. So man, I love being able to do music. I love being a part of the label I'm on at Reach. I love doing music with Lecrae. Like we're family to this day. Like it's always about family for me. If I can't be relational, then I'm not gonna be a part of it. So that's kind of how it happens. So yeah, bro, I love it. So that's where I am. That's where people can find me. And then I'm native Texan, so I'm always here, either in Dallas or Houston, and I live in Atlanta. So I'm either in Georgia here or I'm in LA with my Samoan family. So
yeah, well, thanks for dropping the wisdom, man.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you having me for real. Thank you. Yeah. Thought it would be boom bap as I look at the new hat. And I'm wondering where the crew at. I could tell them to do that. I've been dealing with the flu black, but now I come with the truth that, and I come with the truth that people need to hear when they get in their life, and they know that I'm working with it, hurting with it, doing all the things that I'm turking with it. You ain't seen the type of person that I'm searching with it, doing what I do when it's perfect with it, in the perfect timing with the perfect rhyming. Rise up, king, that's the perfect lining. You ain't seen nothing yet, working. I've been looking for the people that come with chiming and chime in with the way that I do, way that I move, and the way with the rule. You ain't seen nothing, but I come with the book and I come with the truth. That be the name of the Lord, and you move. Come with the name that's Jesus, and we come back with it. Come and telling people how we moving now. Working in it, yeah. Clear my throat, gotta get it right. Tell the people that I'm working with it, and we come to get it. That's late at night, man. Coming down, yeah, man. I'm coming through. Rock the Texas flow when I'm rolling with my crew, man. Tell them what it do. Rocking with the new, like I got them J's and them Adidas on my shoes. Yeah, looking how we do it when we coming in. Tell them how we rock when we come flowing with that's all my friends. And I told them, man, back in the day I got saved and I never stopped tripping. I just have believing. Tell all the people that when I come with it, we come with the seekers and we come with that Jesus. Yeah, came with the sequel and keep up it rocking. I'm trying to make it make sense. I'm trying to make it make rhyme. I'm trying to make it when it's in. Trying to get it just right. Trying to make it flow through the night. Trying to make it get it when it's tight. Trying to make it do it every night. And I tell the people that I'm living it. And I come and get it when I'm giving it. Trying to give them truth. That's what I'm spinning it. And I'm spinning it. And I'm spinning it. Trying to get the flow right, get it with the whole life, get it with the old life. You ain't seeing nothing but I come in with the whole life, and I get it when I work it by my whole life. You ain't seeing it when I rock it with the whole life. You don't hear when I come, that's new. But hey, rent with the road, fell off the beat, but I'm back with it too. Yeah, come back and I get it, and I gotta come with it, and I tell all the people in the rhyming, and I get it when I do it, and I'm moving in the front. That's perfect timing, and I tried to do it, and I tried to move it, and I tried to get it with the stamina, and I got it when I'm rocking with it. Got the light shining bright like my light camera. You ain't seen with nothing like that though. I ain't seen with it nothing that's slack though. I ain't never been the type to slack, the type to move, the type to fall, the type to back, the type to go. Just come get it when I spit it. Tell them how I get it when I rip it. And I'm coming back with another type move. And I'm coming back and we do it like this and off of the dome when I get with the flow. And I try to slow it down for the people at home so they can understand the words and the reason I spit. I told them first it's God, then it come with truth and that's it. And I tried to tell them, dog, if I do it now, it's for him. And if I do it forever, it's him. And when I gone and gone, it's him. If I live now, it's Christ. And when I died in this game, cause I go to be with him to the end of it, man. Tell them just how I flow. I tell them just how I move. I need some chapsticks now. I feel it on my lips and it's rude. I feel rude.